to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. Some people bring donuts to the office. Others bring chaos. Today in the rLounge, we all know that coworker, the one who turns your workday into a test of patience. She got me fired, so I, unintentionally, got her arrested. This is my first post, so please bear with me. To give some warnings, I want to let everyone know that this post will be a bit lengthy, and there will be some racial bias from the coworker I am making this post about. A little backstory for the context. I, 34 female, started working for a huge corporate gas station that is based out of Canada, I believe, but has tons of stores in the US as well, and I do live in the US. I was hired in the beginning of October 2024. I was recommended for the job by a friend. I'll call her August, 37 female. This specific location is my husband and I's main corner store stop and shop place. We've been regulars there for years. Over the last 2 years that August has worked there, the company has went through an insane amount of first and second shift workers. Some last a month, some a couple of weeks, but no one ever stays permanently. Well, August recommended me and her boss will call him tomorrow, interviewed me for about 3 minutes before offering me the position. I have almost a decade of experience as a cashier, customer service, and management. I was officially hired August 10th. Things were going great. I was working the tail end of first shift and the first half of second shift, and the crew was awesome. But I started noticing that August pretty much did what she wanted when she wanted to. She is the assistant manager, and every shift she relieved me or my coworker, Will, 22 male, she was always late. Not just 10 or 20 minutes, but 2 to 3 hours late. No call, no courtesy. She would just come rushing through the door with a world of excuses or sob stories. I quickly understood that this was the reason no one else would stick around long, but I am not a quitter. I would mention these issues to my boss, Tom, and he would also make excuses for her, so I began to understand that no matter what any of us complained about, he would cover for her and brush the concerns off, leaving the rest of us, Will, Lorraine, the cook, and myself, to just deal with her consistent bullcrap. She started bringing her boyfriend into the store every day, all day. They were unhoused at the time and had lost their car. She would let him go to the back of the store, which was against company policy, but she didn't care because no matter what, Tom had her back. A couple of weeks into working there, August's boyfriend had passed away from an OD, and August started pretty much living at the store, but she was also paying for a hotel room every day. She just hardly used it. Condolences to the boyfriend's family, but she absolutely hated him. I've never heard her say a good thing about him in the 2 years I've known her. Granted, he was actually a crappy person, and I don't think it was just he was using. He passed away about a week after she had been given a car from one of the regular customers that felt bad for her. Tom and I worked a lot of the time together. We actually hit it off great, especially over our shared love for the 70s and 80s rock. He decided to ask me to be the second assistant manager, and I accepted it. As soon as August found out, she was angry, talking crap to anyone at the store who would listen, including our customers. I confronted her about it over text the day I found out. I planned to do it face to face, but I couldn't wait the 3 days until I see her again. She denied ever having an issue or saying anything negative to the customers about the promotion I had gotten, and I knew for a fact everything she was saying to me was a lie. Tom had confided in me that he wanted to get me trained right away to do paperwork and handle the money, so he could finally have a day off after 2 years of working every single day, and that he hadn't fully trained August because he knew her past with addiction and didn't want to put the temptation in her hands. Pretty much, even though he always covered for her and had her back, he didn't trust her to deal with the money. The day Tom started training me on paperwork, August walked in and saw what was happening, and after she clocked in, she stormed out the door and sat in the car crying for nearly 2 hours while on the clock. She started complaining to him that it shouldn't be me and that it wasn't right that I was being trained. She would start coming in to relieve me super late or sometimes not at all. Tom would just say, "She's going through stuff. It has nothing to do with you. It's nothing against you," failing to realize that my time was not being respected at all. As many people do, I schedule my life around my work schedule. We have 5 kids and most have after-school activities, so me leaving on her time was not working for me, but I know going to Tom was useless. Over the next couple of weeks, I was debating what my options were on handling the situation right away. I decided to write an email to my boss's boss, and it had concerns from all 3 of the day shift employees, me, Will, and Lorraine, and we were all signing off on the contents of the email. In those couple of weeks, my drawer had come up short 4 times. First time was $107. Second time, $53. Third time, $22, and the last time was $60.02. Just for context, because she's the assistant, her login number could override anyone's number. But the days I was short was days I had worked with her and no one else. And if she came in and I still had to work a little longer, she would immediately let me go smoke a cigarette or use the restroom, and I don't always lock my terminal. I know, it was stupid of me not to. Tom would do paperwork and not come up with why it was short. 2 weeks before I got fired, our cook had about 50 frozen pizzas that had gone out of date that day, and they had to be written off. Company policy states even if items are wrote off, they have to go in the trash. Anyone who takes any of the items is considered theft. But even with everyone knowing that a few of us would always take some of the items home if they weren't out of date too long. Don't judge me. There were only 4 of us there that day, and 3 out of the 4 had taken pizza home. By the time I took mine out, only August was around to see it, and even though August had participated before, she didn't want any that time because she had no way to cook it. About a week and a half later, Tom's boss came in and told him even though they did not see me take any money from the register, I had to have somehow because all those funds were missing with no explanation, and that he received a report that I had stolen food items, and they had the time and date of when it happened, including a video of me taking them outside. He wanted me terminated immediately. I came in that day. Tom and I joked as usual. I had done the Garda transactions, checked in all of our vendors for that day, and at almost the end of my shift, Tom said he needed to speak with me, and that it wasn't good. Tom told me what his boss said, and that Tom himself didn't believe I had taken any money, and if I wanted to appeal, I could. But I knew they had video of me taking 6 or 7 old pizzas, and knew that qualified for termination. So I handed over my name tag and walked out. Lorraine, the cook, and I are tight. We become fast friends, and in the days that followed my termination, we talked every day. August had pretty much been there 24/7, sleeping in the back of the store, doing drug deals in the parking lot, and then immediately going to the restroom for 20 to 30 minutes every time. This is where the racist comments come in. I have so many connections to the little city, so the day after I was let go, I had already another job. I stopped in after work a couple of nights ago, and August came up to me while I was at the shelf checkout. Her face looked pale, eyes glazed over. Instantly, I knew she was on cloud 9, off her effing rocker. She proceeds to casually, nonchalantly say, "You know I'm the biggest racist around, right?" I think she's being sarcastic and gonna tell me a customer called her or accused her of being racist. Oh, how wrong I was. Me. Oh yeah? Oh yeah. Blacks, Mexicans, all of them, we can't effing stand them. Hate them all. Me, in shock and disbelief that this is an actual conversation I'm having with this broad. I just got a brand new clean rug delivered for the entryway, and these nasty, dirty-ass Mexicans came in wiping their nasty-ass boots on my clean effing rug. So I'd said something to this dumbass and said, "Hey, that's a brand new rug that you just wiped all that mud on." And he said, "Okay, so?" Can you believe his dumbass? That's why I can't stand them people. They're all dumb as F and nasty. Now at this point, I had not responded, and while she was talking, I was walking out of the store pissed off and completely silent. I didn't say anything in the moment because I'm kind of scary when I get to that point of anger so much that I scare myself, and I don't like how it makes me feel, so I try to be silent in confrontational situations. And she was following. I got in the passenger seat and didn't say a word to her, and my husband drove off. I was silent, but my face was saying 1,000 things. My husband asked what was wrong, and I had told him what I just told you all about, that she said his face instantly looked the way I imagined my face had looked. My husband is a white male, but our children and I are Mexican and white. Although there are some people here that are surprised to find out I'm mixed at all, a lot of people, on the other hand, always assume I'm mixed with Mexican. I was livid, not just because of the Mexican remarks, but because of all of it. None of the remarks made towards any race were okay at all. The next morning I texted Lorraine to tell her about the run-in I had with August. She suggested I call a manager who isn't on shift. Only managers are allowed to answer the phone. So I could leave a message about it with the time I was there so corporate could watch the video. But the store voicemail is connected to corporate email. But with Tom being the manager, he has access to that email, and I know he checks it daily so he can delete it. Since it involves August, I'm almost positive he would bury that message as if it was to save his own life. Lorraine texts me a couple hours later and suggests, why don't I call the cops and tell them some chick is passed out in her car and you're concerned. Well, she knew August has slept in her car in front of the store doors a lot. So I said that's actually not a bad idea, if only I knew when she was there sleeping. She almost immediately texted back and said, yeah, like right now for the last 6 hours or so. So I did just that. I called in to request a welfare check on a woman that seemed to be passed out in her car with the car off and windows completely down. It was 10 degrees out at that time of day. About an hour later, Lorraine calls me with all the deets. We were a move in the shadows type of all women. So the cop pulls up, sees she's passed out, window down, car off, calls for backup. Backup arrives. They approach her car and wake her up. She's having a very difficult time holding her eyes open. They start to question her. She was slurring her words and could not make a full or coherent sentence. More backup arrives. About 9 cars to be exact. They call EMS because they suspect she's on something. They make her get out of the car, do some tests because the keys were in the ignition. Car was off, but if you're under the influence of any kind and have the keys in the ignition, you could be in a lot of trouble. Tom sees what's happening. He charges out there to see what's going on with his precious August, and the officer puts his hand on his taser and tells him to step back and stay where he is. Tom tells him he's her boss, and the officer says, yeah, well, your employee is definitely under the influence of some kind of substance and passed out in her car. They run her name, and she comes back with warrants, so she was arrested and taken to our county jail with a $1,500 cash bond. Tom said her car was okay sitting in the parking lot and did not need to be towed. August is still sitting in a cell waiting to deal with her legal woes, while Tom has been talking about considering bailing her out. If anyone else is reading this, thinking there's something going on with Tom and August, I share the same suspicions, but Tom is an older married man, and if they have a thing or had a thing together, they're trying to hide it, but I'd say not very well. Lorraine and I have been getting our kicks out of everyone, even customers at the store, talking about how a concerned citizen called the cops on her, and they can't believe the cops arrested her for sleeping in her car, which the arrest record is public, so I don't see why they don't just go look her up and get the actual facts. But I tell you, almost all the customers feel sorry for her and just love her so much because they believe she is just a wonderful woman because she's fed them BS stories and is a sympathy addict. And my old crew are enjoying working and leaving on time every day now and not having to deal with any of August's drama for the time being. August was in full uniform at the time of her arrest, even though she was off the clock. It happened at the store and in uniform. Therefore, it is mandatory that it get reported to corporate. Thomas, who is supposed to report it technically, but since we all know he won't, our old manager that retired months ago has taken it upon himself to message her old boss at corporate that these events took place. This slice of petty revenge has felt like a long time coming and well deserved. I don't feel bad, not even a little bit. Crappy people deserve crappy prizes. Sorry it was such a long post. I hope you enjoyed reading it. I have a lot of petty revenge stories. This is just the most recent. Charlotte and the petty crew have been watching for a long time silently, but I'm excited to become more of an active member of this community. Sending good vibes to everyone here. K. This situation happened in January. It took me a while to post because I had to make a new account. I do have 2 updates, but I'm at work, so I will post those later. And yes, they're absolutely crazy. Hope you all enjoyed. Sorry it was so dang long. Much love to all of you beautiful people. Constantly late, no respect for the job or the team, and then flipping out when you got promoted? Come on. Then there's the whole being racist and aggressive thing, which is absolutely not okay. I don't blame you for walking out the way you did. Sometimes it's just not worth saying anything, especially when the person clearly isn't going to hear it anyway. You don't need to explain yourself to people who aren't even trying to be decent. Ever had that one coworker who made work way harder than it needed to be, but somehow never got called out for it? What did you do? Official first update. A couple people are speculating that August and Tom have something going on, i.e. drugs, sex, and or blackmail. Well, let me give my thoughts on this, and then I'll get into the update because it is in fact juicy. The company works with another place that provides basically a set of extra hands for the busy days at the store, so a person that works for the other company will come in about 2 to 3 days a week to help stock or clean. The city we're in is pretty small, and not too many people in our area work for this company, so we would get the same girl every week, and she's been there for 2 years. She got in there about the same time as August. We're going to call her Bethany, and she's about my age, early to mid-30s. Her and I didn't talk much at all at first, until about late November. Her and I started chit-chatting here and there, and sometimes Lorraine would be a part of our convo. Lorraine and I were always cool, but she didn't trust Bethany. She just looked at Bethany like August's little friend. Now for me to have this all make sense, I feel I need to give a little more context. August's boyfriend passed sometime between November 13th and November 17th, but not exactly sure on the date, but I do know it was her scheduled day off, so None of us were expecting to see her, nor were we expecting to see her for a couple of days at least. But the morning he passed, there she was standing in front of me in all her pathetic glory, insisting on being at work because it was the only place that felt right to be. Tom let her clock in and just sit on the floor and cry on and off all day. Now this day was a weird and uncomfortable day. She would be uncontrollably sobbing, and then anytime we had our normal customers in there, they would ask what was wrong. Sometimes she would tell them, and then sometimes she would look at me and start crying more, nudging her head towards the customer as if to tell me to tell them that her boyfriend died, like she just couldn't bear to say it. And then they'd ask what happened, and she'd tell them he OD'd from horse tranquilizers. I participated unwillingly in these conversations a couple of times before my recovering people-pleasing butt finally told her I didn't feel comfortable being involved with the topic of customers any further. Something to note about August since I met her, she's always said that she was 3 years clean, and at first I had no reason to think otherwise. I didn't really know her outside of being one of her regulars. It was once I started working there that even though she said she was clean, my husband and I both speculated she hadn't been clean at any point of us knowing her. I'm in recovery myself and have 8 years clean, so I had started clocking all of her behaviors. It only got worse after her boyfriend passed away. So one day, it's Lorraine, Tom, Bethany, and myself all working first shift. Tom's off in the back getting change made up for the safe, and us girls are just cleaning and BSing when the conversation turns to August. Lorraine and I were talking about how August reacted over hearing about my promotion just a couple days prior. Bethany chimed in, "She, August, told me you stepped on her toes and went above her to get a promotion." I didn't say anything about it, but that didn't make sense to me because she's already assistant manager. I replied, "Exactly. August had already been assistant for about a year now, which means she got the raise too." Apparently what she was referring to was me being trained in paperwork and money handling before her. By the way, just so everyone is clear, there isn't any other incentive for being fully trained. You don't get an additional raise except for the usual quarterly raises everyone has to earn by working a required amount of hours during those 3 months and watching training videos, but being physically trained in person on how to actually do money handling and paperwork doesn't count towards any of those other incentive raises. I had mentioned out loud to whoever was still listening that I really felt like Tom and August had something going on. My exact words were, "I don't know if they're sleeping with each other or if she has something on him. Maybe she messed with him before and has proof and she's holding it over him, or if he's said something out of line and she has proof of it. But there's definitely something there because he's let her do whatever she wants and doesn't give her any warnings or write-ups." Bethany's head swung around and looked at me, eyes big, and starts walking closer to the register to talk quietly because at this time, Tom was still in the store and he was just in the back handling the money. She stops at my register and says, "You know he gives her $1,200 a month before she got evicted, so that she wouldn't be evicted, right?" Obviously, no, I didn't know that. No boss I know is going to give me over $1,000 to keep my house that also knows I can't and won't be paying them back. And no, she didn't pay him back, and I'll tell you how I know this later on. Anyways, I tell Bethany no, I didn't know that, but if that's true, that's really weird for someone with no ties to a person to give that amount of money. Bethany looks and grins kind of suspiciously, like she had more info, so I pushed. I said, "Well, what else do you know?" She continues, "Well, about 6 months ago, I pulled up here about an hour earlier than usual because I had to change my work time from an appointment I had that day. So I came in an hour early and left an hour early." Tom and August were parked on the employee parking side, and I parked in front of the air pump. I seen August standing at Tom's open driver's side door, and she didn't notice I pulled up. I had pulled in and had been sitting there for 5 minutes, watching her, thinking, what the hell is this broad doing? Then I saw August take a step forward, look more into his car, and I got out of my car and started walking over to see if she was okay. It's dark out, 5 a.m., so to me it all looked like was August standing there staring at Tom's open door and then take a step forward. I didn't even realize he was sitting in the car, and when I got to the back bumper, I then saw Tom was sitting and August was in between his legs. I immediately said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know both of you were out here," and August jumped back. I didn't see them doing anything technically, but they looked like they were about to get hot and heavy had I not shown up and scared them. I immediately looked at Lorraine, jaw dropped, and she's looking at me, eyes wide, and we both just gave each other looks like, "See, I knew it." I want to remind everyone that 6 months prior to this moment, August's boyfriend was still very much alive. Who knows? Maybe he had no idea there was something going on. Maybe he was pimping her out for dope money. Who knows? Lorraine was still very cautious around Bethany because if August was working, her and Bethany would be really chatty. And if August wasn't there and Lorraine and I were chatting about day-to-day BS, August was doing Bethany, would be in a near area, fiercely texting on her phone. Was she texting August? I don't know, but Lorraine was certain she had to have been. Now, I do have proof there was a physical relationship between August and Tom. No, if you count hearsay, then yes. But I wouldn't. All I can do is speculate. I'm very empathetic and just get vibes off people. Their vibe was definitely inappropriate and unprofessional. Now, the moment all you petty potatoes have been impatiently waiting for, especially after that now deleted crap show of a post earlier that y'all were not meant to see. I give you the official first update. August was arrested on a Thursday. She didn't see a judge the next morning and had no bail set, so she sat until Monday afternoon. Those few short days were great for everyone, and no one knew when she would get out while she was away. Tom had Will doing everything August would normally do, plus he was picking up all her hours. He's a great worker, and he definitely didn't mind getting the overtime. He was getting some good money. When August did get out, Lorraine, Will, and myself assumed she would be fired. She was arrested in front of the store in full uniform, and it was supposedly reported directly to corporate, so we thought for sure she was cooked. But to our surprise, nope, she wasn't. Tom allowed her to work their overnight shift, which normally only had one worker, but he let her be a second, third shift person, so she could make some money. Things went right back to the same old BS. A month goes by. Lorraine updates me that August is now being trained for paperwork and money handling. We find that strange considering Tom pretty much admitted he didn't trust her. I came in to shop around March 5th-ish. Will is working. He says August called off and told him she left the paperwork there and needed him to do it because she was having trouble figuring it out, and she didn't want to call Tom to ask for his help. And Will was pissed, understandably, but he had done it for her and had been since she started training on it. Will never did push back with August and pretty much kissed her butt from the beginning. That was until his mom and I brought him to the light. Oh, by the way, Lorraine is Will's mom. I forgot to mention that, and given everything we went through together there and what they still are going through, them being family members and working the same shifts is the least unprofessional thing going on in there. I want to add that Will is on the spectrum and also is just non-confrontational and just doing what he thought he had to do. Although there was no rank there, August often held over everyone's head that she had a black shirt, so that meant everyone has to listen to what she tells them to do. So fast forward to the juice. It was 6 days later. I'm sitting in my chair watching our petty potato queen when my phone rings. It's Lorraine. I answer. This is the conversation that follows. Dude, guess what? What? August just got arrested again. Why? What the F happened? So I was outside smoking and all of a sudden a sheriff's car pulled up to our gas pump and then a city police car pulled up to the gas pump next to the sheriff. I was walking inside to get back to work and then both came walking into the store. They looked at Tom and asked if they knew where August was. August was here, but out in her car doing the Coke order on the store tablet. So Tom said she should be in her car finishing up our store order. Is everything all right? All they said was they needed to speak with her. What the F? They had to be watching her and her dealer, or she skipped out on court again. By the time Tom walked outside, there was an undercover cop parked right behind her car, and 3 other police swooped in behind her as well. They had to wake her up because, again, this witch was passed out in her car, and she's still on the clock. Tom left me on the register so he could go check on what's happening, but when I had no one in the store, I went out, and August was yelling that they are harassing her. She's done nothing wrong, and they were walking the canine around her car, and it had alerted. They started tearing up the front seat, and in about 2 minutes, they found something. Not sure what, but we'll find out once they book her. Oh my gosh. Well, Tom was over there, right? So he didn't see or hear what they found? He said no, he couldn't hear much except for what August was yelling. I guess that could be true. He was made to stay back like 10 feet. But you know he wouldn't tell us even if he knew. True. So no one knows why they showed up there looking for her? No, neither of us were out there during their initial contact. Both of us said at the same time, but it was definitely for something. She said she had a couple of people walk in the store, so she had to go back in, and when Tom finally made his way back into the store, he told Lorraine, well, they found something in her car, but August said it wasn't hers. At this point, Tom should be wearing a cape that says Captain Save-A-Ho, because my God, ain't no way he believes all of that. This all happened March 11th, around 9 or 10 a.m. At around 1 p.m., her booking was not showing up. Charges read as follows: possession of meth, second offense, no bond. Possession of heroin, first offense, no bond. Drug paraphernalia, no bond. We all suspected as much because of her appearance, how she acts, and from life experience. At 2:30 p.m., Tom gets a phone call. He steps a few feet away and speaks quietly. A couple minutes later, he tells Lorraine he has to go, and he'll see her in the morning. Lorraine thought that was odd because whenever Tom was planning on leaving early, he tells everyone ahead of time. He's had family emergencies, but has always been very open and transparent about his home life. He was only leaving 30 minutes early, but if you knew Tom and how he works, it was for sure odd. So she calls me. I tell her maybe she got the bail. Nope, no bail yet. So, wonder what's going on with him. We didn't get any clarification about that at the time, but keep this part in the back of your mind for later. It will not be a part of this update. It will be in the next because it is when we got the clarification. So you all are getting the series of events the same way we did. Sorry. At around 6 p.m., Lorraine texts me and says she got bail, $2,500 full cash bond, and had been released. Lorraine called Tom and told him she made bail and had been released and asked him if he had reported anything to his boss, yet he said no, he hasn't reported it yet. But yeah, she just called me 20 minutes ago and told me she was about to get out and that he was just going to let her come back to work since she got out pretty quickly. But what about the first time? Yeah, it was only a few days, but still. No one's seen or heard from her that night or the next day, which was her day off. But when her next shift started, she was there and was telling everyone the cops in our city are bullying her and harassing her for no reason, and people are eating that crap up. As if people can't just look up her record on her own. But no, of course that her story is the real one. Poor August, she just has it so hard. She's just a good person who lost her fiancé and trying to do the right thing in life, blah, blah, blah. The workers are all just fed up with this broad, but what can be done? Lorraine wants to report it, but is afraid to email Tom's boss because, in their eyes, the last employee that tried to going to him for help regarding August ended up fired shortly after. So we're all just left with trying to figure out how to get her out of there, to make it a better work environment for everyone else who's still there. I'm going to start working on the second now. Thank you in advance to everyone who has been intrigued with this situation. My husband said I was wasting a bunch of random people's times because no one gives a crap about August. But I told him it's not about August, it's about the absolute effery surrounding August's existence. So thank you for allowing me to prove him wrong. Enjoy the screenshot. It's not the best angle and I wanted to cover her actual name and the city that I live in for privacy and maybe legal reasons, I guess. Thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time. And please put your chair back where you found it.